Good morning. Welcome to Master Trader. Simple market analysis you can use to make money investing and trading every day. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at the broader markets today. But before we get going, hit that subscribe button down there so you can get updates every day when we broadcast. So the markets yesterday had let's say a little bit of a bad day as they pulled back into this little support area right here. And so the big question is this the start of some type of larger correction? Well, it might be, and how do we determine that? So one of the things we look at here, looking at multiple time frames, and right here, this is a weekly chart of the S&P 500, the electronically traded ETF. So you can trade this every day, just like you do a stock. And if you want to invest, either for the long term or even swing trading, this is a good instrument to do it rather than paying a lot of fees for a mutual fund that they charge a lot of fees for. It just trades like a stock, like I said, and you can get in and out of it every day. You don't have to wait until the end of the day like you do for a mutual fund. So it held this support right here. We see rising moving averages, which is what we call a visual aid to tell us the trends are up, and this one relates to the weekly trend and this one the daily trend. And this had a pretty nice run, so to have some type of a pullback really would be normal here. Right? The markets do pull back. Unfortunately, for the most part, over the last few years, they haven't been very big pullbacks. So we'll see where this one goes. Another way to look at this is look at the distance here to this moving average on the weekly time frame. It's pretty far away, and just looking at the recent history, it's further than it has been before. So again, a little pullback is long overdue. And we do have a red candle. Right? These candlesticks tell us whether prices are traded below the price that they opened or above the price. So usually when we get a red one, we get another red one, a little bit more of a pullback. And considering the distance here to that 20 MA, it just makes sense to get a little bit more of a pullback. And maybe, it comes down into this area right here where it had stalled previously. So there's the S&Ps. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq, because that's where the technology is. And we see as this is pulling back here, it's already reached some support. So a little bit of what we call relative weakness. And also notice the distance to the moving average here. It's not quite as far. So it's a little bit weaker. This is a 24-hour chart, so we can see what's happening right now. And prices are down a little bit, not much, but they're pulling back here a little bit after yesterday's, let's say, a little back and forth. It was down and it came back toward the end of the day there. So buyers did step up in this area of support right there. Now, one of my concerns is the fact that the transports, which had been leading, you can see this nice move here. Look at this, what we call a head and shoulders top. It's a distribution pattern. And notice there's no big tail yesterday. So the buyers didn't come rushing back in after it hit this support. Rather, it stayed down near the low. So if it gets down through this area here, it opens up the door to the next support area. And again, we keep things relatively simple here. Not a lot of indicators, or actually no indicators. A couple of simple moving averages. And this support is what we're really focused on here. This is what we call a tradable void, meaning there's no support in this area. You can say, well, what about these candles? Well, yeah, but look at the momentum here versus this little congestion right there. So this is where the significant support is, down here around 172. Okay? We'll see where that goes from there. And the other market that we like to look at, or ETF of the broader markets, is the Russell, where the small caps are. And it's had a very nice, incredible run here after it spent a lot of time, the majority of the year, going nowhere. And this is just slowly correcting down. Sometimes this is referred to as a bull flag. And what we would want to see here is this ability for this to actually hold here now that it's poked its head under this support, and then come back up and consolidate here a bit. And that would give us a buy type of a pattern there, looking for this to go higher. So that's what we'll keep in mind. A stock that I'm keeping an eye on here today that has not it's reported earnings earlier, and clearly it hasn't been having such a great year. And this is Harley Davidson, right? They sell those beautiful motorcycles. And here in 2017, it's had a relatively awful year, but I mean, it's done well in the past, and you see how it's moved back and forth here. But what I like about it is the fact that last week it had a good week and pushed right up into this resistance after testing this low. And you can see it here on the daily time frame. And one of the other things that we look for when we see a reversal like that, it's what we call a bullish wide range bar, is the volume. Was there a lot of participation? And look at right here. So the takeaway from that is that institutions, the big money, have been picking up Harley Davidson here. Now, they don't expect this to necessarily produce a gain today, or maybe not even next week, but they're buying this in anticipation that it's probably going to do better next year. But it could produce some gains in the next week. And why am I saying that? Well, besides the retest in this area and the volume, like I explained, see this up at this resistance area right here? It's not going down. Notice how it's going sideways here. So a rule that you can use for guidance is that when prices come up into an area of resistance with the speed at which it came up here, like it did, and it came up here relatively fast, big wide range bar, and it hits this resistance area, and rather than pulling back down, it goes sideways. That tells you that those buyers, they're continuing to show up and accumulating at higher prices rather than waiting for it to come down to lower prices. So this is where they perceive at the moment that this is a good buy. And rather than waiting for it to come back down again or even lower, they're buying it right where others that got caught, right? Look at the little breakout here. Buyers got caught. And these buyers are saying, hey, I can get my money back. These buyers are saying, you can get your money back here. I'm going to give it to you because I think this is going up here. So Harley Davidson, I like the way that looks. I think it's going to go higher. This would be our line in the sand down here for it to hold, since this is where it's been holding for quite some time and looking for it to go higher. Again, guys, hit the subscribe button. Simple market analysis to make money in the markets every day.